Now, the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture today heard applications to cross-examine witnesses. Several people have come forward with explosive testimony implicating former President Jacob Zuma, his son, members of the Gupta family, Ministers Malusi Gigaba and Faith Muthambi, members of the Hawks, and more. Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who is chairing the commission, has given permission to former President Jacob Zuma's aide, Lakela Kaunda, controversial businessman Fana Hlongwane, and Hawks official Mandla Mtolo to cross-examine. He reserved judgment in the applications from the Guptas and Duduzane Zuma. Senior reporter Griselda Lewis was there for us today. Thank you, Griselda. So we're starting to get a glimpse, aren't we, of what the Guptas themselves are arguing or want to talk about and how they're viewing the commission.
Well, that's right. For the first time, we're hearing now that the Guptas are saying categorically that they will not be coming to South Africa to participate in the commission, and in fact have labelled the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority as a national embarrassment, and are saying that they cannot come to South Africa under those circumstances. Also that they don't know what their status is in South Africa. Recall that the Hawks have continuously said that RJ Gupta is a fugitive from justice in South Africa on alleged corruption relating to a case not related to the Estina Dairy Farm case, but
not surprising that he's questioning the credibility of the Hawks. I mean, he can be arrested if he comes back to the country.
That's right, and that's what Justice Zondo had made reference to quite a lot during today's proceedings, is that the Hawks are basically, or the Gupta family is saying, they will not come to South Africa. They don't know what their status is in the country, and while the Hawks say there is a warrant of arrest out for RJ Gupta, they're still waiting to see it. In fact, that's what we heard from Advocate Mike Helens, who is for RJ Gupta.
So what about these applications for cross-examination? Just run us through what has been granted, what's still to come.
All right. As you indicated, they've been granted for former President Jacob Zuma's aide, Lakela Kaunda, controversial businessman Fana Hlongwane, and the Hawks official Mtolo, as well as Duduzane Zuma. But what is reserved at this stage is that you must recall one of the issues that took center stage, Francis, here today is the fact that the Gupta family basically says they're not coming to South Africa. They want the commission to come to them for them to testify.
In Dubai?
That's right, in Dubai. And in actual fact, if that's not going to work, they will testify via video link, but that has to be outside of the borders of South Africa.
So there's a sense that... Is there a sense, let me rephrase it, that they're trying to hold the commission to ransom, or at least testify on their terms?
In fact, one of the legal representatives today said that it seems like the Gupta family wants to participate in this commission on their terms, cautioning the commission that this is not supposed to happen. In particular, if you look at what the Gupta family is saying at the moment, is that they don't know what their status is in South Africa. They're afraid, and I recall Justice Zondo categorically stating or asking the legal representative of RJ Gupta, do they fear if they come to South Africa that they will be arrested? So a lot of that comes into play when you saw Mike Helens say that the Gupta family actually believes that they have no confidence, basically, in the law enforcement agencies in this country.
So the big question here is, can this commission do its work effectively, come to a conclusion without the cooperation of the Gupta family?
One could definitely say at this point that the commission finds itself in a rock and a hard place, between a rock and a hard place, Francis, because the Gupta family is who is at the center of these allegations that are being made in South Africa. Not to have their participation doesn't get to the crux of what these issues are about. But also, what Justice Zondo will need to take into account is, I do suspect, Francis, that whichever way that Justice Zondo rules next week on whether he grants permission for the Gupta family to cross-examine witnesses, it will come with very strict conditions. Conditions on what the Gupta family will and will not be able to do. So they cannot proceed, I think, at this stage without the Gupta family. But the commission itself feels like it's being held to ransom if the Gupta family says, you come to us if you want our testimony.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in Zondo's shoes right now making these sort of decisions. What happens from here?
Well, next week, he will, of course, give his judgment on whether Duduzane Zuma, the Gupta family, will be able to basically cross-examine the witnesses. And I think a lot of that will be a telltale about how, I guess, the future of this commission will be viewed. Because in particular if you talk about the Gupta family, because irrespective of the decision that Justice Zondo makes, it's got to be in the good interest of the Commission and ensuring that people still view the Commission itself as a credible source to try and establish exactly what happened.
All right, thank you very much. The SABC's Chris Zelda Lewis.